Live from 2 News. This is Talkin' Real, powered by Strong Auto Group.
Good evening. Welcome to the Strong Audi Talkin' Real. He's Brian Dunseth. I'm David James. Dave Fox will be along with the rest of the day in sports, talking Masters, and all that in a few minutes. Dunny and I are here talking Real on Thursday nights. Now, Dunny, you just get a few games into the season, get a few games under the belt, and RSL looks like a team is starting to come together, rounding into form.
Well, and after 6 weeks, they're one of 2 teams that remain that are undefeated in Major League Soccer. And listen, this match in San Jose, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing by any means, but these are the type of games where you need this group of players to understand what the philosophy is, have the bite and the desire to get through the 90 minutes and come away with the full 3 points against a very difficult opponent.
All right, take a look at the highlights from this one. The 4-3-3, the ability to attack quickly. Luke Mulholland, great ball. Sabo taken down. Should there have been a call?
Well, I think so, and what Clarence Goodson does a good job is he positions his body in behind Sabo. The referee can't get a good look, but we talked about the positives of this dynamic 4-3-3 formation, how quickly that ball can get up at the top north to south, and we saw a good look of opportunities created.
42nd minute, RSL with the corner, and then Luke Mulholland gets blasted.
Innocent Emagara comes through, and he follows with that right forearm, but watch the mass confrontation, and San Jose Earthquakes were not only fined for mass confrontation, but also Innocent Emagara, the number 11, was given a game suspension because of this elbow, endangers the safety of an opponent. And check out the goose egg on Luke Mulholland as he gets up after a few minutes and was treated by Tyson Pace, the athletic trainer.
When they finally restored order, Javier Morales took the free kick, and that led to a beautiful goal.
Well, first free kick struck into the wall, but it was the reaction. He was proactive as this ball comes back to him. I want you to watch the way that man, Javier Morales, uncorks his hips. It's a sidewinder from outside the 18-yard box as the ball comes bouncing back to him. And that look is fantastic, but take a look at this look from behind, and you'll get a better idea. You can see Kyle Beckman with his hands up because there's a handball in the box. That ball went off the hands of Victor Bernardes right there, but look at that ball. Just tails away at the last second. What a fantastic goal from Javier Morales to give Real Salt Lake the 1-0 lead on the road in MLS's newest soccer-specific stadium.
Second half, 57th minute, quick restart in RSL. Wow, Nick Raimondo saving the day.
Well, he wasn't called too often. He was more about being proactive in terms of staying connected to his back line, but quick free kick taken from Matias Perez Garcia. JJ Caval, the second-year player out of Stanford, gets around, and he looks to beat Raimondo at that near post. Even with that slip, big bear claw pushing that out, giving San Jose a corner.
At the hour mark, San Jose on the counter, and it's a dangerous situation for RSL, but Javier Morales, look at the 35-year-old legs going, not 1, 2 tackles.
Well, it's all about buying into the philosophy of team defending, and out of anyone in this play that should be back, it probably shouldn't be the playmaker, Javier Morales. And last line of defense, great first tackle. And watch the second tackle. Who knew the old man still had it in him? What a great defensive play by Javier Morales.
RSL once again in the attacking third, and this is a scary moment for Javier Morales. That's got to remind a lot of fans of the day he was hurt against Chivas.
Well, letter of the law, that should be a straight red card. For Fatai Alashi, not only did he escape with just the yellow card, he escaped the disciplinary committee's punishment. It's that left leg that comes through. If Javier Morales' feet are planted in the ground, that is very, very similar to the dislocated ankle tackle that he had against Chivas USA a few years ago at Rio Tinto Stadium. And now the chirping, Kyle Beckerman got in it, and Fatai Alashi quickly shut his trap.
69th minute, Tony Beltran, Olmes Garcia. He's got some speed, and it looked like RSL had an insurance goal here.
Well, there was a late substitution, and Alvaro Sabrillo, playing significant minutes on the road with Costa Rica, came off. Devin Sandoval came on. But again, here's the north to south dynamic with the 4-3-3. And the speed and athleticism of Olmes Garcia, that's a great defensive play from Clarence Goodson. Victor Bernardes, he takes a bump on the way in. But again, you're seeing, David, how quickly, north to south, that RSL is in this formation.
It isn't over till it's over. 5 minutes of stoppage time, and at the death, Kansas City with a chance. Or, excuse me, San Jose with a chance.
Well, it's an unnecessary foul committed by Abdoulaye Mansali that leads to the free kick. Mansali takes the direct shot right to the chest. Watch the top of the 18-yard box. Shot comes down right off the chest. He goes down, crumbles. and the secondary clearance not good enough for Real Salt Lake, and then Fatai Alashi just tries to slash one back on goal. Didn't really test Nick Raimondo, but overall, full 3 points on the road. Nick Raimondo gets another shutout, and Javier Morales gets the game winner.
All right, so here are the Western Conference standings, and RSL with the full 3 points on the road takes a big leap up. Now, you see teams have played 5-6 games, Vancouver 6, FC Dallas 5. RSL undefeated just 4 games, already 8 points. You average 2 points per contest. Most years that'll win the Supporter Shield. That's a great start.
Yeah, FC Dallas losing on the road in Portland. You've got, yet last night, Vancouver, a 2-2 draw at home against Columbus Crew. I keep saying it all year long. It's going to be death match against death match in the Western Conference. But when you're a Western Conference team and you play an Eastern Conference team, vital you pick up the 3 points. That could be the difference when it's all said and done and you come into the playoffs.
Sporting Kansas City picked up the full 3 points at home last week. Dunny, a pair of dramatic stoppage time goals, and they actually ended up forcing a goalkeeper change in Philadelphia.
Well, Rice Mbole, again, had an absolute shocker on the road for the Philadelphia Union. And for Sporting Kansas City, this is a team that you know from the opening whistle to the closing whistle, they are going to push high. They're going to commit numbers. They're going to force mistakes. Rice Mbole, as of right now, went back to Europe. He's better off without the team than he is with the team, according to Jim Curtin. But that's a big goal. Dom Dwyer, 22 goals scored last season. He finally opens up his account after an own goal opened the scoreline in the 3rd minute. That would make it 1-1. And it's just that movement from Dom Dwyer, the way he's able to create space for himself. He's great in the air. He doesn't have the size, but he's got that strength and athleticism.
Now to stoppage time. Philadelphia up 2-1. Not the set piece, but the ball recycled in, and finally the back of the net. A lot of pressure, and they finally get the goal.
Well, and again, Sporting Kansas City's not doing anything special. All they're doing is putting the ball in dangerous spots. You see head coach Peter Vermes happy about what he saw, but Benny Feilhaber, it's a good ball whipped in. Poor clearance. Roger Espinosa looks to recycle. Keep an eye at the top of the 18-yard box, and it's a simple header. But what's the goalkeeper doing? Rice Mbole, he's supposed to be the one who's calm, who's fluid, talking to his back line. There's no communication. He's reacting late. That's a great goal from Jalil Anibaba to level things late.
And the only thing worse than one stoppage time goal is 2 stoppage time goals.
Yeah, from the 92nd minute to the 94th minute. Good ball whipped in, and Namath gets inside of his defender, right inside that far post. And listen, when you talk about Sporting Kansas City, you talk about a team with heart, with desire, not afraid to mix it up defensively, and that's exactly what they did. Even though they didn't deserve the 3 points, they fought until the final whistle, and somehow, some way, they ended up getting the win at home despite playing very, very poorly.
A lot of pressure now for RSL, especially the defenders, as they go to Kansas City. Incredible atmosphere, a team that's going to irritate, a team that's going to compete, a team that's going to put the defenders under pressure. A guy who's been there before and knows what the team is up against, knows what the club will face. Tony Beltran sitting down and talking with Dunny. And Dunny started out by asking him about another tumultuous offseason.
It was a very turbulent offseason. Those are huge pieces to lose in any team at any given time, and those guys have done a tremendous amount for our club. They've helped build this club in the past few years. So from that aspect, it was difficult to cope with. I remember coming in the beginning of the year, Beckerman said something to me. He said that it feels like those guys are on vacation still, that they're just coming back at a certain point, and we were all waiting for them to walk in, but that was never the case. The way you deal with it, that though, is the coaching staff brought in some very capable young guys and some very capable veterans as well, bringing back Hamas and Olave, you know, bringing in young, attacking, fast guys. So it was a transition period, and of course, there's a learning curve there, especially transitioning into a new formation. It was never going to be perfect right away, but we all know it's a work in progress, and we all have the desire to get better every day. So.
Tell me about the leadership roles. I mean, Kyle not going to national team camp, being apart from day one, Javier Morales, yourself, Chris Schuler. But when you lose guys like Wingert and Grabavoy and Borchers, I would imagine it would kind of change the dynamic of who steps up, who's got the loudest voice, and who's got that strong word when someone needs to hear it.
Absolutely. You know, if someone exits the door, it gives us someone else an opportunity to walk through it. Someone like myself, who is in his 8th year in the league now, and needs to have a little bit more character in the locker room, a little bit of more of a leadership role. You know, myself, Schuler, Luke now, guys who have played significant minutes for RSL need to step up and carry the weight that has been departed by these veteran players. So it's a great testament to Kyle, of course, about how much he cares about this club, about how much he cares about his team, because of course he is the captain of this team, to not go to national camp and to be here because that's where his primary focus is. So it's been an interesting transition for us guys, kind of in flux, stepping into those leadership roles, but of course one that we welcome.
We'll have the full interview with Tony Beltran and Brian Dunseth tomorrow night on Talkin' Sports. Tomorrow, Tony will talk a little bit about Dom Dwyer. 22 goals last year. He is a dangerous, dangerous guy, and Dunny's here to show us more about the different ways he can impact a match.
Oh, DJ, you just said 22 goals last season, 48 shots on goal. And why is he so dangerous in the box? Well, I'll give you a couple examples why. You take a look at a goal that probably should have counted at home against Sporting Kansas City, and Dom Dwyer, despite being about 5'8", 5'9", is really fantastic in the air. And it's all about his individual battles, his movement off the ball, and the way he gets up. But just take a look at the way his match one-on-one is. He's got his defender. You've got the attacking player heading north. But watch the way Dom just does a great job fighting off, reaches up with one arm, and it's the second arm that gets him. That's a fantastic goal, in my opinion, that absolutely should have counted, should have been his second of the season. It's been a frustrating start for Dwyer because he hasn't been scoring at the rate he had in 2014. But what's the other thing that defenders hate about playing against Dom Dwyer? Well, this is a perfect example. He's an irritant. He's a pest, a physical presence that will always make life difficult. And as a center back or a defender, anytime you get facing your own back line, that's what you absolutely hate dealing with. What Dom Dwyer does well is he continues to push, he continues to force defenders to make the mistake, and that's the last thing that you ever want to deal with. When you take a look at the starting 11 potentially for Real Salt Lake, this is the look that I would think would be the most obvious choice for head coach Jeff Cassar. Jordan Allen sticks with that high right midfield spot. Luis Gil comes a little bit more central. Kyle Beckerman with Javier Morales. Abdoulaye Mansali, who I thought was fantastic on the road in San Jose, continues to get the start on the left-hand side. But you asked DJ, what about all of these moves? With no Sebastian Jaime, I have a decent idea, and this is me putting my coach's hat on. What about, for a quick second, instead of playing out wide with Jordan Allen, you bring Olmes Garcia over to this right-hand side. Then you bring this guy, Luke Mulholland, in with the ability to pinch and play a little bit more central. That would give Abdoulaye Mansali room to overlap down that left-hand side. But maybe the biggest thing is changing Jamison Olave and Chris Schuler. If Abdoulaye Mansali starts to get forward with his pace and athleticism, you've got the recovery ability from that man, Jamison Olave, to slide, and then you've got Schuler and you've got Beltran. That teeter-totter effect in a situation where you feel incredibly comfortable, and at the same time, you've got one of the most athletic backlines that you could possibly have. Well, for head coach Peter Vermes in Sporting Kansas City, really, truly, the only change that you could see potentially coming back in the starting 11 is Graham Zusi, U.S. men's international, coming in that right-hand side. There's been question marks how healthy he will be, if he'll be available for this game at home against Real Salt Lake. Dom Dwyer up top. Benny Feilhaber right here is going to pull the strings. Servando Carrasco is going to sit a little bit deeper, spend some time with the Seattle Sounders and the Houston Dynamo. Roger Espinosa. Now, this young man, Espinosa, is the guy that Kyle Beckerman loves to go to battle against. The last time those two teams faced off with Roger Espinosa in a Sporting Kansas City jersey, he ended up picking up a red card against Kyle Beckerman for a tough tackle in the midfield.
Down to Kansas City last week, they got the full 3 points. They won at home, but they were not in top form. Defensively, especially in goal, there were some problems.
Well, once again, they've got a new goalkeeper, Luis Marin, and he's a guy that's great with his feet, but sometimes when he comes off his line too quickly, he's making some poor decisions. And when you look at the way that Sporting Kansas City has conceded goals this year, they've scored 6, they've conceded 6. It just hasn't been good enough. And this is a team that, since the retirement of Jimmy Nielsen 2 years ago after the MLS Cup final at Sporting Park, they've gone with 4 goalkeepers. And Marin was supposed to be the guy that came in and solidified that back line. But as you can see, when you get in amongst the trees, is a little bit hesitant, doesn't have a strong punch. And that's one of the ways where I truly feel that Real Salt Lake could take advantage. Set piece opportunities, wide service, a second chance, and you see the goal conceded. Now, individual marking is always going to be the first and foremost that you're going to point out. How can the defenders do better? But also, a goalkeeper has to have the great communication with his back line, making sure everyone's got their individual marks. And if he does come off his line, He's got to get that ball.
So what does RSL have to do? To go into Kansas City and get a result, we're ready for the keys to victory.
Well, keys to victory, it's always about set piece opportunities to start with. And when you see a Sporting Kansas City team that scores 2 goals in stoppage time, you've got to be aware of what they're doing. Espinosa versus Kyle Beckman. Listen, these 2 guys are probably the most tough tackling defensive midfielders in Major League Soccer, and they just don't like each other. And we love villains. That's what we need more of. And you could see a couple villain tackles over the course of these 90 minutes in Kansas City. And last but not least, Dom Dwyer containment. 48 shots on goal last year. 22 of them found the back of the net. He scored 2 against Philadelphia, only 1 counted. But his athleticism, his desire, his work rate, at a bare minimum, you got to be in the right spots at all times between Chris Schuler and Jamison Olave. Can't get caught on the back foot defensively.
All right, Saturday night, KNYU, Real Salt Lake, Kansas City. It was not that long ago that they were playing the MLS Cup final there, and what a day that was. We'll have it for you on KNYU Saturday. We'll see you then. Remember, Tony Beltran with Dunny tomorrow night here on KNYU Talkin' Sports, and Dave Fox with the rest of the day in sports. Stay with us.